Oh yeah, you're in for the thrill of your life.
I can't wait.
I'm in the mood today, so watch out.
I can
Wow.
tell. That's great. This
All right.
guy's like, well, maybe not tonight.
No,
What
actually,
did I sign up for?
I'm actually excited to find out about the Solomon.
All right, we are coming in now.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Roy.
Great show.
Come with us on a journey into the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. We will test your senses and challenge your beliefs. A world where science and religion clash. Or do they? You will meet real people and hear real stories, but you will not believe. You will witness strange sights and hear strange sounds, but you will not believe. This is the New England Ghost Project. Welcome to the nightmare.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Chronicles Next Generation, right here on the TogiNet radio broadcasting system, and also on PowerX next week. I am Ron Kolick, your host, the gatekeeper around the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable New England's own Van Helsing. And with me is the lovely blonde bombshell herself, Ann Kerrigan.
Good evening. Hi, everybody.
Dude, I've been listening to that opening for 22 years now.
Yeah.
I think that's older than I guessed it is.
Quite possibly.
Probably. But yeah, I many times I've said, "Well, I got to change it," but
No,
I just can't.
you can't change it now.
I know. Anyways,
No.
we do have a guest today, and I'm not
Thank
sure if
God.
he's older than my opening, but he is Adam. Shrimp. Ann, help me here.
Tremper.
There you go.
Come on, it's not that hard. Sound it
For,
out.
for me here, because I don't have it in front of me. Of the Solomon
From
Ghost Tours.
Spooky Solomons.
Thank you. There you
Spooky
go.
Solomons. Wow.
We should have warned you. I kind of screwed names up and
A little bit.
yeah, a little bit. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay. Are you older than my opening?
Yes,
Oh, that's good.
but I doubt I'm older than you.
There you go.
Nobody's older than me.
Nobody's older than Methuselah here.
No. Anyways, Adam, thank you so much for coming on. And first of all, what is the Spooky Solomon to start with?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. But Spooky
Say
Solomons
that now.
we'll see in about 30 minutes.
Right.
But Spooky Solomons, it's a year-round ghost tour.
Mhm.
And Solomon's Island, Maryland, it's a small waterman's town, kind of in southern Maryland. It's where the Patuxent River meets with the Chesapeake Bay. And really, the island, it's like I said, it's a waterman's community built on the oyster industry.
Mhm.
Solomons and all of southern Maryland is kind of a checkered past, starting with very early colonial period. St. Mary's City, it's not that far away from Solomons. It was the first colonial capital of Maryland and really the first city built in Maryland. Um, and then from there, the plantations expanded. Tobacco became the number one crop here, and the evils of slavery became the norm in this area.
Mhm.
And then after the Civil War, uh, people moved away from tobacco primarily and moved towards the water. And so the seafood industry took on a greater role in the economy, and that's oysters, fish, and the famous Maryland blue crabs.
Of course.
And and then
Hmm.
Towns like Solomon's grew up and were established, and
Is it
yeah,
actually an island?
it is. Yeah, people miss it because, believe it or not, right now the island you drive over a bridge, but I could probably jump from the mainland to the island, maybe 2 jumps. It's not that wide.
Oh, wow.
But it used to be, back in the late 1800s and even into the early 1900s, it used to be, probably about 400, 500 feet of open water. And it was these oysters. They were shucking the oysters and taking the meat out and shipping them all over the world from there. And the oyster shells, they just dumped in the water, and that filled in and kind of made the island larger than it is today.
Oh,
wow.
wow. That's cool.
I like to
Well-
tell people it's both figuratively and literally built on oysters.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
pun.
love oysters.
I love good puns.
Yum, yum.
So yes, Solomon's Island today, it's mostly a tourist town. I mean, there's a lot going on with the seafood industry, a lot of watermen and waterwomen working the water there. But the island itself is mostly a tourist destination. It is very pretty. I mean, we've got great seafood, clean country air. The
Not
water
as good
views
as
are
New England, of
amazing.
course. You know that, right?
Right. It's different. It's different. It's not the same.
It isn't.
Okay.
It isn't the same. I agree.
But I mean, New England is beautiful also, but it's, down here, the Chesapeake Bay Tidewater region. I mean, it's a very different feel. And do you guys get much like water sunsets?
What's a
Well-
water
Yeah.
sunset? You mean a
'Cause you're
sunset
facing
over
the-
the water?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
facing
we
sort
get
of the wrong
those.
way.
The Earth is round, so we
No, I don't think that we get sunsets, like sensational sunsets here, like you do
what do you
In-
what?
in the south, in a more southern region.
What?
I do. I agree. It's different.
Fine. Turncoat.
The closest we came, we were in Cape Cod and we saw some nice sunsets there,
Thank
but
you.
Right. They're nice.
they're nice.
No one said they're not nice, Ron. They're just not as magnificent.
I've got some beautiful pictures of sunsets.
I've got beautiful pictures from Horseneck Beach, right?
Solomon's Island has every night a beautiful sunset.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, it's,
I don't have
so the
it every
sunset
night
right
they
over
have
the
a sun-
Patuxent River. Even when
Mhm.
it's raining, it's beautiful.
Huh? How can it be beautiful when it's raining?
That's one for the mysteries.
Oh.
You have
You'll
to
have to come
go.
down. Yeah, you have to come down and
All right.
find out.
That's right.
So before we get into the tours and everything, so how did you get interested in doing these ghost tours? Do you believe in the paranormal, or have you had a part paranormal experience?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I start off my tours usually telling folks that, I started doing the ghost tours not because I was really planning on it. We live down here, and I was doing a lot of research. I love history. History is sort of my thing, and I was doing research on the island and the early families, the early houses on the island, and I was kind of putting together that as my initial project. And really, I thought it was just too boring for anybody to read. Maybe it's my writing, but I didn't think it would be that entertaining. And when we travel, when my family, when we travel, we like to do ghost tours. So whenever you travel, it's a good way to learn a little bit about the culture and the history of a place.
Mhm.
And so we do ghost tours all over the world. We've done them. And my first ghost tour was actually the one in Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. When I was a kid, my parents
Oh.
took me to that. But I've done ghost tours, and one of the more interesting one was in Kinsale, Ireland.
Ooh.
And then we've done tours in, all over the country, Oregon, California, Colorado, Arizona. Yeah,
Before I get interested in the paranormal, I actually took a ghost tour at Williamsburg.
yes, that's a great
My
one
wife
there.
and son, we went down there when he was young, and we did a candlelight ghost tour, and that was my first experience in the paranormal, I guess. And I thought it was so nice and so interesting. And I love history. I have a minor in history, so I do love history anyway. So
Yeah.
it was perfect.
Well, you sound like me, because was basically my experience. Was I love history, and it was fun way to get to know a place by doing a ghost tour. And anyway, we did a ghost tour out in California, and I got thinking, maybe we got enough kind of creepy stories. Maybe I could do something with these stories that I've collected about Solomon's Island. And I wasn't sure if I was going to write a book or what, because I'm not exactly the most I'm not a great actor. I'm not a great speaker. So the idea of giving presentations to large groups of people just didn't seem like something that I wanted to do.
Picture them
Uh,
all naked. No, don't ever do that.
well,
Ick.
it wasn't as much that, it doesn't make me so nervous, but it's, I wasn't blessed with a great speaking voice and a great,
I think you do. I think
acting
you have a very good
acting
voice.
presence. Some of these ghost tours you go to, in Baltimore, they have a great ghost tour there, and the folks that give the ghost tour there in that city, they are not only experts in the history, but they're actors, and so
No,
it's just
right.
it's so much fun. And
Very
you
theatrical.
know, I'm a little bit more dry, so they're gonna get the histories and the legends and lore as I've
That's
heard it
okay.
from folks. And yeah, people really do enjoy it.
Yeah.
I haven't I've gotten nothing but good reviews, so that's good so far. But you asked me, do I believe in ghosts? Like, well, how
Right.
did I move? And the truth is, I tell people on the tour I'm agnostic. Um, and that's not to say I don't believe. I am a religious person, and I do believe in the afterlife. And I think part of believing in an afterlife is the acceptance that ghosts can exist. So I have no problem with that. So when I say I'm agnostic, it's not that I don't believe. I think I'm more agnostic towards the stories themselves.
Hmm.
Um, and the reason is, I've heard so many stories. People come to me and they tell me stories of experiences they've had. Some of them I cannot explain. I have no way of uh, understanding how that could have happened without there being a ghost. But on the other hand, I've heard stories that I think to myself, yeah, I think there could be other explanations for
Right.
this.
Yeah.
Or my favorite is when everybody has the exact same story.
Hmm.
Like there is one place down here where I've heard probably from 40 different people an experience, and they all tell it exactly the same way. And the thing is, like the human mind, the way it works, nobody remembers things exactly the same.
Right.
And so a lot of people believe that
But
if
in a way,
people,
they do. In fact, we were just talking about that on the last show. The Mandela effect is one thing that people will remember the Monopoly man all with a monocle, and yet he never
yeah,
had one. But we can, if those people are aware of the stories, whether consciously or subconsciously, they can repeat the same stories. So there is an explanation for it, but not
yeah.
necessarily that's the reason why.
So I understand what you're saying, and I get that point. I think it's more. I'll tell you a quick story about my parents. They're very smart people, my parents, and very bright and observant. And they were rear-ended. An automobile hit them from behind, and then it kind of drove off, right?
Mm. Oh,
And both of my parents like get out of the car and they watch this car drive off, and they're saying, okay, you remember the license plate, now remember the make and model and color of the car, right?
Mhm.
And so they got it in their head, and 15 minutes later, 10 minutes later, the police show up and they say, okay, what's the make and model? And they couldn't quite remember what they had. It was like Toyota Camry. It was black. And then the license plate, well, it was a Maryland car, and the license plate started with blah blah blah. Well, turned out there was like a camera that caught the collision, and they didn't have the make, model, color, or license plate correct.
Exactly.
Even with them trying to remember,
wow.
in the moment, with everything happening so quickly,
Yeah.
they got the details kind of askew. And I think that's the point, that people's memories of the past or of experiences, especially high emotional experiences, uh, don't always work well.
Mhm.
And so for what I mean, what I'm trying to get across is, like, when people tell me a story and they describe it word for word exactly the same,
Mhm.
I'm suspicious. It's not that
Right.
not that I'm saying that it did not happen or that there's a story that is true somewhere along the line, but I believe that it's also possible that it's that implanted memory,
Right. Yeah.
and then they start to believe the memory, and then um,
Right.
yeah, it just carries on. So do I say that those stories are not true? No, absolutely not. I think that there is truth to them, but how much of it is true, I don't know. I stay agnostic to it, and I only repeat the stories that people tell me.
I
Oh,
think
that's
you're more,
good.
that makes you more of a realist
Yeah.
than an agnostic. Personally, that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Because
accept that.
I am very, I don't know, I'm just like kind of a cut and dry kind of person. And like I try and find a rational excuse for something in my head before I just say, "Oh yeah, yeah, that was absolutely this." You know what I mean? I take everything with a grain of salt. It's my
Yeah, yeah.
Yankee, my Yankee upbringing. So yeah,
But
I
our brains do that. That's what they want to do. That's why we look at a cloud and we see a dog or we see a cat, because our brain wants order. We want to be able to
Hmm.
recognize. We want to be able to understand. And we, if there's something we can't understand, then sometimes we fabricate it subconsciously.
hmm
Sure.
mm,
Well,
But
there's another great story from down here in Southern Maryland, not too far away from Solomon's. It's I like to tell this story, but it's about a mansion. It's called Neeld Mansion. It dates back to well, the mansion was built in the early 1700s, but the property, the estate, is from 1658.
wow.
Um, and there's a lot of ghost stories associated with this old manor house. Mostly with there's I mean, years and years of stories centering on a whistling man in the parlor.
hmm
And people would say it was an eerie whistle that could be heard faintly. Um, and, people made whole stories about who the man was and why he was whistling. One lady, she wrote that, she was knitting or sewing in the parlor and she heard the whistling and she said, "It scared me nigh unto death." Um, and they said it was a sad tune. And in another story from there, you could hear someone chopping wood outside, and they would describe it very vividly, the sound of an axe splitting wood. Um, and then in 1960, they renovated the place and they replaced the entire chimney and all of the siding. And after those renovations, the whistling man stopped and no one ever heard the chopping again. Um, so sort of the chimney flue was causing the whistling sound. I mean,
Right, right, right.
all kinds of splits in it, and
Uh-huh.
they believed that the loose siding was causing the chopping noise. Now, there could have been a ghost, but it's awfully suspicious that it was a very regular occurrence. And then after they
Right.
did the renovation, now could the ghost been
All
scared
gone.
away? Maybe, I don't know, but I feel like a lot of stories you hear where people, they even embellish them to a degree,
Mm-hmm.
where they say, "Oh, well, this is so and so, and this is his sad tale," when it was really just the chimney flue.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's like I said, it always goes back to, because everything we see, hear, and think goes through to us personally. The paranormal is a personal experience. In other words, whatever
Mhm.
you experience, someone else might not experience the same thing, because it is a personal experience. And your brain just, it plays tricks on you all the time. When we wrote a book, Ghost Chronicles and More Ghost Chronicles, Maureen and I, and we thought things happened a certain way, and they're actually chapters about what we did, and it's like being there. So we thought things happened a certain way, but when we went back and listened to the tapes or viewed the video, there were parts that we weren't there that somehow
Right.
along the way had changed. And I think
Right.
that happens with a lot of stories, ghost
Yes.
stories and so
Yeah.
forth. Is along the way they become a little different.
Mhm.
Sure. And I think that's normal, right? That's how our brains work. And
Mhm.
I think everybody experiences that. Um, I'll tell you though, I'll give you an example of a story that I can explain, and I think there might be less about chimney and more about spirit. But
Okay.
there's a old house on Solomon's. It used to be an ice cream and candy maker that lived there. Her name was Bertie Saunders, and she lived there in the late 1800s. The Watermen loved it. You could get all you could eat ice cream there for a nickel in
Oh
Oh,
wow,
1900.
I'm going in.
Um, and people love Birdie because, of course, if you invite her to a birthday party or a wedding, what's she going to bring? She's going to bring ice cream and
ice
candy.
cream.
And so she was invited to all of the big parties on the island. And she dies in 1962. And after her death, people reported seeing her all over the place. I mean, it was very common to see her at a wedding or a birthday party. People would even set a plate for
Oh
her
wow.
at the dinner table, and they would
Aw,
always be a spot for Birdie at the events.
that's so sweet.
Uh, One
Huh.
funny story: a honeymoon couple was disturbed in their honeymoon suite one
Ooh.
evening because after they got married, the ghost of Birdie came and asked them why she wasn't invited. Um, but
Oh, so you actually had conversation with the ghost then?
Yeah,
Wa-
yeah, no, that people report
Wow.
conversations, interactions. But here's the thing that, I mean, those stories are fantastic,
Hmm.
but here's the one that makes me really question things. So, much later, it was in the late 1990s, a young family moved into that house. And at the time, there was no mention that that house had a history of ice cream or candy or anything like that. It didn't look like it was a residential house at that point.
Hmm.
Mhm.
All evidence of Birdie was removed. And they only stayed a few months in that house. And when I interviewed the mother, why they moved out so quickly, she said that her young son, he was about 7 years old, his bedroom was upstairs, and he started to talk to himself when they moved in there. And she thought he was just going through a phase. But then he was kept saying that there's an elderly lady making ice cream in his bedroom, and she wanted to give him some.
Oh.
And so he'd come down, can I have some ice cream from the old lady upstairs? And
Ah.
here's the thing about that though, is that, when you think of a house, how many of them have kitchens on the second floor making ice cream upstairs? Like you would think that it would be the ice cream would be on the main floor where
Right.
she served it. But in fact, Bertie's kitchen was on the second floor. It was in the room
Oh,
that
wow.
the kid was staying in. So
Hmm.
not only did the kid know about the ice cream that Bertie was making there, but that it was in the same room that he was staying in. And
That's
you know that's
crazy.
that's a little bit harder to kind of wrap your mind around, like
Uh-huh.
how would, unless this kid was some sort of savant in the historical records and figured it out, or maybe it's possible someone mentioned it, but I think that's pretty rare. They didn't know too many people on the island, so
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's cool. I
So
love
how
that.
how did
They
how did
probably didn't, but I do.
how did Solomon Island get its name? Do you know?
Sure, yeah. So in 1867, Isaac Solomon, he is an oysterman. He's a businessman from Baltimore, and he bought the island. So previous to 1867, the island was known as Sandy Island, or kind of had several other names. It was mapped out during the War of 1812 and 1814. The British docked right off of it, and then they had the Battle of St. Leonard's Creek in 1814, which is just nearby the island. And so they drew maps of it back then. But when Isaac Solomon comes, there's one house on the island that was there, but the rest of it was just a big sandbar. And then he established an oyster packing house there on the island.
Mhm.
People would the Patuxent River oysters are supposedly some of the best oysters in the world,
Mm.
and people would go the 80 miles or so up from the Patuxent River to Baltimore to sell the oysters. And Isaac's genius plan was to build the oyster packing house where the oysters were being harvested, and it was a good business plan, and it attracted lots of other folks that he sold lots to that then built their own oyster houses, and so that's how the island was named. Solomon's today does not have an apostrophe. We lost them when the U.S. government got rid of them because the maps looked funny with apostrophes on them. So only rich places up north like Martha's Vineyard kept it, but Solomon was too
Okay. All
poor.
right.
So we lost our apostrophe, but it used to have an apostrophe where it was Solomon's Island. Now it's Solomon's Island without the apostrophe. Yeah,
No longer possessive.
no longer. Yeah. In fact, it's funny because it's easy to put an apostrophe in it. It sounds like it should have one,
Of course.
and every now and then someone will, and the locals will drive you out of town if you do it. They're not happy about it, but it's a sore subject.
That's funny.
So, how did you end up on Solomon's Island? Do you live on the island, or do you live near it, or?
Yeah, most folks there's a lot of folks that live on the island, but most folks live nearby, and we live about 10 minutes off the island.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
pizza's here.
Yeah,
The doorbell rang.
It's Solomon. He wants the apostrophe back on it.
Or it's Birdie, maybe.
It's
be
Birdie.
Birdie.
She's got ice cream for us.
Yeah, we're okay with that.
Oh, nice. I like
But
some
I-
ice cream.
Yeah. So yeah, when we come back, we're going to be taking a break. So when we come back, we'll talk about the ghost tour because that's why we really brought you on. But this
Well,
is all
yeah.
fascinating.
Yes, it
stuff.
is.
Yeah. And anyways, you're listening to. Let's see. What are we today?
Next generation.
Yes, Ghost Chronicles Next Generation with Ann Carrigan and Ron Kolick. Our special guest today is
Adam Tremper.
Adam Tremper of
Spooky Solomon.
And we are brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts. The Gallant Messier Family Law Group, 55 High Street or 50 High Street or 15. I always get that wrong. High Street in North Andover, Massachusetts. Very good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio on Patreon. Become a member and get all kinds of weird stuff on there. Anyways, and also our good friend, Leslie Martin's Positively Brilliant Reiki-infused candles on Etsy. Did I get that right?
Etsy.
Okay. What's the difference?
It's not Etsy. It's Etsy.
Sure. It depends your pronunciation.
Whatever.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
ETSY. We all know what it is. Continue.
Etsy.
They're great candles. I'm burning one right now.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah, I always do. Coconut.
Oh, yeah. So you can cover up the smell of alcohol.
Shut up. Stop it.
Oh, tell me you're not drinking wine.
Of course I'm drinking wine.
Okay, there you go.
But it doesn't smell.
Well,
Come on.
to you, but to me, it would.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Just
my
keep
nose-
going, old man.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
All right,
I
we gotta
did
go
that.
now. Yeah, we gotta go now. We'll be right back after the following messages right here on TogiNet Radio.
Do you have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net. or call 978-455-6678.
There's a shadow on the wall that looks like a man. Lord, that lamp just moved on that stand. I got movement in the cellars, I got footsteps in the hall. There's no time to waste, I better make some calls. I gotta get ready, make everything right, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. This is Brother Mike. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. This old house has a long history. It should be real good for activity. And we got the house wired for sound and got motion alarm setting all around. Got a box full of batteries ready to go, and everyone's itching to start this show. Got our logo tees, driving black SUVs, and that one bald guy with a slick goatee. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is Brother Mike. Well, there's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. Hey, round up the team, let's get started. Hey, this is your big brother Mike calling. There's a party and you're invited. We got the camera set, let's turn off these lights, 'cause all my rowdy friends are goes hunting tonight. That's right. Go get 'em, boys!
Explore the seasons of the witch by way of magical spells and practices for each turn of the wheel of the year. Magic for All Seasons offers a fresh approach to a lifestyle that focuses on mind, body, and spirit in the nature-based way that our ancestors practiced throughout the ages. Starting with Samhain, author Marla Brooks, an experienced and long-time magical practitioner, explores the 8 Wiccan and pagan Sabbats that comprise the traditional wheel of the year, while incorporating original spells, recipes, incantations, meditations, and more that enhance the magic of each season. Oh, and be forewarned, this book is dedicated to Marla's great-grandmother Sophie, and a powerful witch she was. You'll run into her throughout the book, so don't be surprised if you feel someone looking over your shoulder. It's only Sophie, wanting to say hello.
Welcome back to Ghost Chronicles Next Generation with Ron and Ann, and our special guest this evening, Adam Tremper from Spooky Solomon's Ghost Tours.
Wicked cool.
Yeah.
Did he run away or is he still here?
Still here.
Oh, I love this. So I'm just looking at your website and it has, so is this a lighthouse on the stilts that we're looking at?
Yes. Yeah.
That is the coolest looking building.
Right. That's the Drum Point Lighthouse.
Mhm.
And it was originally built in 1883.
Mm.
And then in 1962, they decommissioned it And then in 1975, they moved it from where it sat out at Drum Point, which was out further in the water where the Patuxent River and the Chesapeake Bay meet.
Mhm.
And they moved it to one of the best marine museums that I know of. Is the Calvert Marine Museum here in Solomon's Island. And
What's on the island? Oh, cool.
yeah, and as part of entrance into the museum, you learn all about the history of the island and the ecology of the area, and then you can also take a tour of this old lighthouse. You can go up in it and see where the lighthouse keeper and his family lived, and yeah, you can take a tour. It is part of the tour. I don't take people into it, but it is one of the most haunted places in Southern Maryland.
Oh.
A lot of ghost stories from there. It's one of the places that I get phone calls about, being the ghost guy on the island. Anytime anybody has an experience, they give me a phone call.
Call the ghost guy.
Right. But people see a lot of things there. I mean, that it's not the most haunted lighthouse, right? The most haunted lighthouse is not too far away from Solomon's Island. The most haunted lighthouse in the world
Watch it.
is No, the
Watch
Point Lookout Lighthouse. Yeah, Point Lookout Lighthouse is the most haunted lighthouse in the world.
Really?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
open to opinion. I am on the board of directors of the Portsmouth Harbor Lighthouse, and we also own Whaleback Lighthouse. And uh, as as members of ALP, we own about a dozen lighthouses, not more. So there's a lot of ones that claim to be the most
Most.
haunted.
Could
Yeah.
very well be, but I mean, Point Lookout was during the Civil War, it was the
Uh-huh.
prison camp for the Battle of Gettysburg. So all of those Confederate soldiers were moved there, and most of them died of exposure and starvation and disease. It's and even in the 1900s, as they were turning it into beaches, bones were just everywhere, and it was just
Ugh.
a pretty gruesome task of moving the bones and moving it to the Confederate cemetery.
Hmm.
And then, of course, all of the shipwrecks. It's pretty. It's got a sordid history, but it is. That's not part of the tour, Point Lookout, but Drum Point is, and the history of Drum Point is fascinating. The ghost stories from there are some of them are you kind of roll your eyes at, and others are unexplainable.
Isn't it kind of cool though? I mean, this you're saying there's lots of ghost stories here, yet they moved it from its original location.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
intriguing.
and there was, it's interesting because people most often you see the ghost of a young woman in the lighthouse, and folks didn't know that a young woman actually died in the lighthouse.
Mm.
So that's sort of one of those interesting things where they see this young woman staring out at the windows. They'll see her in the lighthouse itself. She moves things around. She even sort of interacts with some of the docents there. But people would say, "Oh, we aren't aware of anybody dying there." And then, in fact, in the 1918, there was a young girl, Anne Weems. She died of the flu, and her father was the lighthouse keeper, and he described in his journal with great emotion about how he wrapped her body and lowered it off the side of the lighthouse to a boat to be brought back to Solomon's for burial.
That's
But
sad.
a lot of people still believe that she keeps an eye on the lighthouse.
Isn't that intriguing though, Adam? I mean, that you have these people have these experiences, and yet there's nothing associated, but you do research and everything on, and then all of a sudden it kind of makes sense in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
We,
It
Go ahead.
there's and we'll get to this story, I think, in a bit, but
Mhm.
there's one story that I wanted to share with you all, where it's sort of the, you know, I do the ghost tours, and that's where I tell everyone, I
Oops.
share the history, legends, and lore of the island with folks.
Mhm.
But we also do other events, right? So we've got, I'm going to do the Ghosts of the Revolution for America 250.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and tell ghost stories from the Revolutionary War period. We've got, I do presentations on, I mean, you guys have, there's no question you guys have the corner on the witch market, but we've got some witches down here in Maryland, and the famous Maul Dyer. She was a witch down here in Southern Maryland, and so I do a presentation on the witches of Maryland. And then something that's very popular, we do a psychic ghost tour.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, it's very popular. People love it because I partner with a friend of mine, and she is a psychic. Her name is Lynn Coffrin. She's from Winged Spirit Evidential Psychic Mediumship, and Lynn and I are friends. And when I first met her, I was kind of like, my experience with psychics is not. Wasn't negative, but it was again
Not
agnostic.
positive.
Uh, and through my interactions with her, I've really changed my views on it. I'm not. She still calls me a skeptic, and I'm comfortable with that.
Mhm.
But I cannot explain or understand how it happens. It's beyond my comprehension. But it's fantastic because she's able, on these tours, she's able to dive deeper into the stories that I can tell, right? Like I focus on the history and the stories that were given to me from locals, but then she can go in and talk a bit more and deeper about what is going on and why these people linger, or what is driving them to do the hauntings that they're doing, and people really find that interesting, and it's a great way of doing it. But I
Oh,
think
sure.
one of the stories, and this is kind of where I was getting at, was that it's this blending of the history and the legend and then the psychic, that when you put these things together, you can get a pretty accurate picture of who we're talking about and what's going on. And the story that I have for that is, there's this old church near us. It's called Middleham Chapel. It's an old Episcopal church. It was built in 1748, and it replaced an older church that was built in 1684 that was wooden, and they replaced it in 1748. And it's this beautiful old church, and it's got a cemetery around it.
Nice.
And ghost stories there are prevalent. The earliest ghost story that I could find dates to 1854, and it was actually written down by the minister.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And the minister said that there was a ghost with the name of Elizabeth that haunts the grounds. And he sort of alluded to the fact that it was an old story then in 1854. So they've got this ghost throughout the church records. The last encounters in the church records was actually about a group of Boy Scouts doing their Eagle Scout project there, and were frightened off by the ghost of Elizabeth.
Oh.
One of the records said that Elizabeth's grave was lost in the woods. And I was searching through records trying to find it, trying to find, who this Elizabeth could be, someone that died before 1854, obviously. And I wasn't able to come up with any good answers to it. And I wanted to go there and look in the woods. And down here in Maryland, you don't go in the woods in the summertime, right? The ticks and the chiggers and
Oh,
the
yeah.
snakes, right? So I only go in the wintertime. So in the wintertime, I called Lynn up, and I said, are you free tomorrow? I want to go look for Elizabeth graves in the woods. And she said, sure. And so she came along, and once we arrived, she said that she was immediately picking Elizabeth up, and that she said that she wasn't alone. She said that she was there with her young daughter, Mary.
Oh, wow.
I said, okay, well, that's another name.
Nice.
And then we're walking past some old graves. It's a family grave site, and she kind of jumps and she says, "Oh," and I said, what's wrong?" And she said, "Well, I don't know, but Elizabeth just said yes." And we really didn't know what that meant, but we started speculating that perhaps as we were walking past this family plot,
Mm-hmm.
that perhaps the family's name, Perrin, maybe she was an Elizabeth Perrin, and Perrin is an old name down here in Calvert County. So perhaps Perrin was her last name. I then said that I wanted to go into the woods and look for the grave. And we started to head off in that direction. And then she stops and she says, "No, Elizabeth says that she's not in the woods, but in the church."
Hmm.
Now,
Oh,
to me, that didn't make any sense, right? Because this is not like some European cathedral where we buried people in the church,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean, this is this old country church. And so I said, I don't think we have any graves in the church. I've been in that church. It's got a little wood floor. There's no graves in there. And she was pretty insistent that, Elizabeth was in the church. Her grave was in the church. And she then said, she said that she's lying next to Addison and Cook in the church. So at this point, she's given me a bunch of names, right?
Right.
Mary, Perrin, Addison, and Cook. And with those extra names, I was able to go back and do more research. And looking through the records, I found an inscription. Well, let me back up. I found that when they moved the old church, so in 1748, when they built that church, they actually had to build it slightly in a different spot than the old
Mm-hmm.
wooden church. And they had to knock down a few graves and built it on top of those
Ah.
graves.
oh,
And so those graves are sitting under the floorboards. And I was able to find inscriptions of those graves. And one of them reads, "Here lieth the body of Mary Perrin, daughter of young Perrin, and Eliz, Eliz, his
Oh.
wife,
Aha.
departed this world 15th of August, 1744, age 1.5 years."
oh,
Oh.
So I was never able to find Elizabeth because they didn't spell her name out. They spelled it Eliz.
Liz, yeah.
Right. And so with that name, Elizabeth Perrin, and the
Mm-hmm.
daughter Mary, I was able to find where the grave likely is. And then here's what's even more interesting. Next to that grave are two other graves. Here lies the body of John Cook, son of Reverend George Cook, rector of this parish.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other grave is in memory of Robert Addison, who died suddenly.
oh, wow.
Ah.
That's pretty cool, actually.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. I was going to say Addison is as a first name
right. Yeah,
is not a typical name of that time, but
exactly.
the last name
Yep.
total sense, right?
Well, and Perrin is a common name down here. We've got Perrin Road, and there's Perrin still living down here, but Cook and Addison are not common names down here. So,
Mm-hmm.
for her to just pull those out, it wouldn't
Wow.
wouldn't have happened, right? And so this is a good example of how like the history and the legends and the lore
They all
and
meet up.
and then add in this component of the psychic element, and we get a much more accurate picture of the past. We can complete some stories that have been told for hundreds of years, and we're able to complete them now.
That's
That's
very
excellent.
cool.
So, if people want to find out more about you, Adam, and your ghost tour, how can they do that?
Well, obviously, I've got the website at spookysolomons.com, and then I'm very active on Facebook, Spooky Solomons on Facebook. I'm
That's where I
not.
found you.
I'm about. I'm about 2 steps away from being Amish, actually. So I haven't moved to Instagram well. I don't know how to use it as well as I do Facebook. Um, but Facebook, I share, predominantly, I mean, I do some advertising and talking about the tours, but mostly I share the history and the stories of Southern Maryland. Just the other day, I shared a great story about a uh, Prohibition era police chase, machine gun fire on our main road here, and
Ah,
and they absconded with several hundred cases of whiskey, and then they crashed their vehicle.
oh, shh.
So
Wow.
they didn't get away with, well, they got away because they were never caught, but they did get they did get away with with the crime. But anyway, I like to share these stories to keep the history alive and to remind folks that, where they live is got a rich history.
Yeah.
It's not just, uh, it's not just what you see. You see these woods and you don't realize that generations lived there, and not just what we're familiar with, but also
Mhm.
the African American legacy and then the Native American legacy as well.
Right.
Your toys are very reasonably priced too, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, after I pay expenses of the tour and the advertising and whatever else that I might have, I
Mhm.
donate the majority of it to charity.
Oh.
So the reason I do this is I like to share history. I like to share the stories of the area, and I like to
Mhm.
sort of advertise this area as a wonderful place to visit. I work for the federal government, and that's my day job.
Oh,
And
I'm sorry. No.
so that's what pays my bills. I do this because I love history and I
You
love
enjoy it.
telling people the stories. Yeah,
That's very cool. How long have you been doing the tours?
this is my fourth year.
Ah, okay. So they're pretty new, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'd love to go on your tour.
Road trip.
Yeah, I know. Well, like we have family in Virginia Beach, so
Okay.
we go through like that Delmarva
Yes.
area
Yeah. Yeah.
and then over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, which is very
Yeah. It's a
cool.
long one. Yeah. That's a neat thing to do.
It
I mean,
is neat.
there are, you know, I think my ghost tour is fantastic. I love my ghost tour, but there's so many ghost tours we have in Maryland. I believe there are 8 different independent small business ghost tour companies, and operating across the state as far north as Havre de Grace,
Mhm.
Maryland, and out in Shepherdstown. You've
Mhm.
got ghost tours, of course, in Annapolis and
And
Baltimore and
Ba-
Frederick.
Baltimore.
And then you've got them when you're going down the peninsula there, the Delmarva Peninsula. There's even mini ghost tours. It's called Chesapeake Ghosts,
Oh
and they've
yeah.
got a whole bunch of tours there in the Delmarva area. That's fantastic.
Oh, I bet. I bet. I've always wanted to like we go down through there and I'm like, someday, honey, we gotta like I want to go down where do they have the wild horses?
Oh, the island.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Assateague Island. Yeah.
Assateague, I'd love to go there. It's just all these things like we're always like in a hurry, we're always passing through. And like I've gone to cemeteries down there. I'm like, ooh, can we stop? I'm a cemetery girl, right? So, honey, can we stop? Can we stop? And it it all depends. But it's so historic and Baltimore is beautiful. I've been there on business before and went and saw, Poe's grave and
Oh
uh,
yeah. Yeah.
tromped all around down there and very cool. Very cool spot. And it's a beautiful, you know, scenery and beaches and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Every area. I mean, I love traveling. We drive cross country quite a bit, and I love seeing the country. Everybody's got their beauty, right?
Of
Like,
course. Yeah.
Exactly.
every place is. You could spend, a lot of time just about anywhere. Maybe not New Mexico, but no, I'm just kidding. I
Yeah.
still love New Mexico, actually. But no, I mean, there's everywhere you go, you can spend a lot of time and explore the history
Mhm.
and the stories. We actually did in Albuquerque a fantastic ghost tour there, and they just everywhere you go, you've got some wonderful stories and history. Yeah,
So
love it.
you like doing these ghost tours, right? You go on all the other ones?
I do. Yeah, whenever I travel, I try to do one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that. Absolutely.
Mm.
It's like I said, it's a great way to get to know a place. For your listeners, like, people think, I mean, there's all kinds of different ghost stories. Like the one I did in Kinsale, the guy actually lit himself on fire. I don't do that on my tour, right? Like that's,
Uh,
That's a good
what?
thing. That's a good thing.
um, but you know, there these these folks that run these ghost tours, most of them do it for the passion of it, and they're doing it because they love telling these stories. And so, looking up these independent small businesses and supporting them and hearing the research and the stories that they've developed, I mean, it's a fantastic way to get to know a place.
Absolutely.
We've had so many people ghost tours on the show, and I have so many friends that run ghost tours. Roxy is up in New Hampshire, and on the
Mhm.
Maine Seacoast is New England Curiosities have been doing it for years, and our other friends now down in South Carolina has open hearse ghost tours where you ride around in an open hearse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Yes, I mean
That's
it's
crazy, huh?
so
Yeah.
interesting. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
is.
the best I do is in October, boats will ask me to do ghost tours by boat, and so I
Yeah.
do
Oh,
in
fun.
October I do some of the boat ride ghost
Yep.
tours as well.
Those are
Yeah.
great. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, we used
wow.
to do it for the lighthouse.
Yeah,
As
Ron's
well.
done that too.
Yeah. So, but anyways, we do have to wrap it up. Anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye to you?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's a great honor to be here and talking with you all. I hope that your listeners found it enjoyable and yeah, hope to see some of you on the ghost tour, if not mine, perhaps another one that I go on.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. It's from Mirror down that way. I'll definitely go because
absolutely.
yeah.
Awesome.
Two of my things, history. Well, three: history, lighthouses, and ghosts. So,
And ghosts. Ah.
not counting cemeteries. Any cemeteries down here?
A lot of cemeteries.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm there.
And
All right.
and here's the thing with our cemeteries, the ones that were built along the shore during the flooding of different hurricanes, some of them are no longer cemeteries, and we're still finding coffins, especially from the
Ooh,
1933 hurricane.
wow.
Yeah, they found another coffin just a couple years ago,
Well,
Oh, wow.
washed
speaking
up
about
on a
coffins,
beach.
we gotta go. We've run out of time.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
All right. So,
All right.
thank you very much, Adam from Solomon's
Yeah,
Ghost
thanks so
Tours,
much.
Spooky Solomon's Ghost Tours, and
Yep.
good night, everyone. God bless and stay safe.
Thanks for
Thank you very much.
listening.
From ghoulies to ghosties, long-leggedy beasties, and things that go bump in the night.